I've always been fascinated by the potential of train travel in the US. And since moving to New York, I've always wanted to take one particular route that most people probably haven't thought of. Today I'm taking the Ethan Allen Express train from New York City all the way up to Vermont to visit a friend. No buses or planes, just the New York subway and Amtrak. The most convenient way to get to Amtrak from my apartment is by the New York subway. For a convenient weekend trip, I'm only packing my Gura Gear duffel, camera sling, and my Leica Q3 43. My final destination is the 34th Street Penn Station. But don't get confused, the train hall I'm heading to isn't Penn Station, but Moynihan Hall train station, which opened up in 2021. I'm a huge fan of Moynihan Hall's arching skylights, wide spaces, and tall ceilings. If you haven't traveled through Moynihan, I highly recommend it. It's one of the few public transit stations in New York that truly feels like it belongs in the 21st century. Moynihan Hall has some pretty nice amenities like departure and arrival boards spread around the station, cafes like Blue Bottle Coffee, and a huge food court. Some of the lines were too long, so I regrettably got a $5 hot dog. But once you finish snacking and need to wait for your train, you'll quickly realize the biggest problem with the station. There is a major lack of public seating areas. The main hall is notorious for hostile architecture, meaning that the city avoids building things like benches, lean-to railings, or any sort of open access rest areas in order to avoid loiterers and panhandlers. I'm not a big fan of this, but Moynihan does offer a small waiting area for ticketed Amtrak and Long Island Railroad passengers. If you're a lucky rail traveler with a pricey first-class ticket, there's also a dedicated lounge on the second floor. The Ethan Allen train I'm taking today departs at 2 p.m. and has already arrived to the station, so it's time to start the journey by heading down the platform. Today I decided to spoil myself with a business class ticket so I can experience the unique 2x1 seating arrangement in the business class car.
Hey, I'm looking for the business class car.
Now the business class car is actually combined with a cafe car at the end of the train, so if you're looking for the business car, just board the cafe car and walk to the end. To my surprise, people already found their seat in the business class car and all the solo seats were taken except for the bulkhead seat in the front. And I quickly realized the seat was empty because it lacked something pretty important, a tray table. So if you're planning to work on your laptop or eat meals at your seat, you might want to grab a different spot. Otherwise, there's plenty of legroom for taller passengers, and the luggage rack above had plenty of space if you're traveling with oversized bags. We eventually departed New York under the Hudson River. The Ethan Allen Express is a relatively short train. You've got the locomotive up front, the combined cafe and business class car where I'm sitting, and then typically 2 to 3 coach cars depending on the day's ridership. It's a much smaller train compared to something like the Northeast Regional, which makes it feel a little bit more intimate. The route that we're taking is about 300 miles and runs on 5 different combined railroad lines. And the train has a decent speed of just over 100 miles per hour while going alongside the Hudson, making a brief stop in Albany, New York as a halfway point, and then noticeably reducing its speed by about half to about 50 miles per hour when running through Vermont. Now, in terms of the seat, there's nothing too remarkable. It feels like a regular coach seat minus a tray table. You can recline the seat with a switch on the right armrest, and there's 2 power outlets alongside the wall to charge electronic devices. Let's take a quick little tour of the train. Again, the first is the cafe car right behind business class. The cafe doesn't stay open the entire route and will intermittently close. So I suggest getting some food early before you make the same mistake I did, which is waiting too long and getting hungry. There are huge tables in the cafe car, and I believe the Wi-Fi operates from the cafe car too, but I may be mistaken. The coach cars come next, and honestly, there isn't a huge difference between business and coach in terms of the seat quality. The coach cars are 2x2, and the Ethan Allen Express train isn't a popular route for regular travelers, so you're almost guaranteed to have a nice seat. The bathrooms are at the end of the first coach car, and there's nothing too spectacular here, but the Amtrak staff did do a great job of keeping it clean. There's no shower or anything of the sort, so that's reserved for long-haul Amtrak routes with sleeper cars. This train from start to finish is about 7 hours long from New York to Burlington. I'm getting off right before Burlington at Virgin's train station. It's a really long route, and to be quite honest, after the Hudson River portion of the train ride, there isn't much to look at. So I highly recommend having something like movies, TV shows, or books to keep yourself preoccupied. I had a couple video projects I still needed to edit, but are now live on my YouTube channel if you're curious about my photography or the bags I used to travel with on this trip. The Ethan Allen Express train does provide Wi-Fi, and I measured these speeds while still departing New York City. These aren't amazing speeds, but they're completely serviceable for browsing. We arrived at Albany, which is more or less a halfway point for this route. The train had a crew change, so this gave me about 10 minutes to stretch my legs and take some photos. As I mentioned before, I made the mistake of not getting food earlier, and the cafe car was closed for the section before Albany and after. And I had to wait until we crossed into Vermont for it to reopen.
Could I get a cheeseburger, please?
Now, I've had Amtrak cafe food before, and I've always thought it wasn't the greatest, but I appreciated the wide variety of snacks offered on these trains. My choices were a beef cheeseburger, water bottle, and a beer. This ran me a little over $20. Definitely not cheap, and the burger was definitely not gourmet, but as long as I wasn't hungry, I was happy. After sitting in the cafe car for a bit, I realized that if I had to take this route again, I'd definitely buy the cheaper coach class ticket and hang around the cafe car, as it has the same power outlets on the wall and luggage racks above the table. I think it's probably taboo to hog these tables on a busy train, but considering how empty the train was for the most part of this route, I doubt this would be a problem on the Ethan Allen. I finally made my destination after over 8 hours of rail transportation.
Oof. Thank you. Oof. Made it. Big diversions. It is much colder than New York here. There's our train.
I was greeted by a really friendly Amtrak station employee. He saw me standing alone taking photos outside the station while I was waiting for my friend, and he actually checked in to make sure that I had a ride, considering the station is not always manned 24/7 by Amtrak employees, and this part of Vermont is pretty remote. This employee was even nice enough to reopen the visitor seating area again to show me the interior and the little museum that they had before I told him it was totally fine for him to go.
He's pulling him down. I'll just wait outside. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was really cool. Well, that was awesome. I didn't expect to get a little tour of the station, but that is Harrisburg, Vermont.
So not the fastest way to get to Vermont from New York, as flying is under an hour and driving is slightly faster than the Ethan Allen. But I still love the idea of train travel and the potential for faster, more convenient high-speed rail in the US. Now, I had planned to make a follow-up portion of this video since I had to take the Ethan Allen back down to New York on Monday, but I ran into a bit of a speed bump.
Right, well, the train ride up was perfectly fine. I actually really enjoyed the Ethan Allen Express, but I had to add this ending part because my train ride up was Friday and I was supposed to go down Monday morning, which is today. But I got an email and a text maybe about 40 minutes before the train was supposed to ride to the station that it was canceled. Just outright canceled. There's no other replacement train for this portion. They did say the route from Burlington to Albany was canceled and that a shuttle will be available and then the train from Albany to New York would still be there. But I think that raises the issue that I have with, I want to say Amtrak personally, but the American rail system is that, it's just so underfunded and undersupported that, something does go wrong, you're kind of out of luck. Now, I'm sure the shuttle is perfectly fine, but the whole idea of why I wanted to take this train was because I could take rail with Wi-Fi and space and a cafe car. So I kind of wanted the luxuries there. And the train ticket itself was only about $70, but I do have to get back to New York by tonight. So I ended up buying a flight from Burlington Airport. So it's kind of ironic that this trip, I just really wanted to experience rail travel, and I ended up having to buy a flight anyways. And it definitely wasn't cheap. The rail was much, much cheaper. So it's a bit of a bummer that, it couldn't work out that way. But I did want to add on this ending portion because, it wasn't all perfect. If you want to take the Ethan Allen Express, hopefully it's not for something that's crucial for both ways, that if something does happen, you could take a flight down. Man, I really wanted this video to end on a really good note, but things do happen, so it's unfortunate. Hope you enjoyed the video. My next video will include the camera that I've been using on this trip, which is the Leica Q3 43. So if you're interested in any of the photography portions of this, stay tuned to the next video. So thanks for watching.